Hi everyone, hope you're doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now, we have Kenyans who are interested in knowing exactly what happened at the Central Police Station from the time the late Albert Ojwang was driven in. Ojwang was brought in a Subaru, and we are aware that the CCTV cameras were tampered with, and for that reason, the evidence was tampered with. So, getting to know the account by account on what happened to Albert to the time when he later died, you cannot get that story from the CCTV footage. So, we are aware that there are officers who have been arrested, including the OCS and one man, a police constable, James Mukwana, who actually was on duty. In fact, he had finished his duty, but he was asked to extend tonight. Alikuwa amemaliza mchana, ikawa hakuwa anatoka. Akamwambia pana, utakaa. So even changed into civilian while in the police on the duty. So Mukwana had recorded the first statement, but after learning that his colleagues were planning against him, that he would carry the entire burden, he also made a decision to record the second statement with IPOA. And that is where he has shared the information for those who are interested in knowing exactly what happened. He has really narrated that story, but it is a 5-page statement. So, there are those who have asked, we share this story. And I think without wasting time, I would want us to go through that story, blow by blow, to understand really what happened. I'm not a good reader, but I will try my best so that you get the story on account of the event that happened actually. It was very sad. The DIG is involved, as is the one giving instructions. Mukwana was getting instruction from the deputy OCS, and OCS was also giving direct instructions. So that team, including the inmate, and by the way, when I read this story, then I try to connect with what Natembeya was saying. You will agree with me that Natembeya revealed what normally happened in these police cells. Very sad. So, here is the story. We'll be reading to you. You need to be very patient actually. This is Independent Policing Oversight Authority. That's our IPOA. Declaration, he's declaring now. James Mukwana declare that I am speaking to Justin Nyatele, investigator with the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, that I understand the information I give will be used by the authority for the purpose of investigations. That I understand the information I give may be disclosed to the Director of Public Prosecution for prosecution. That I may be required to appear in person before the Kenya Criminal Court. Number 5, that I have the right to request for privacy of my identity. Number 6, that I reserve the right to legal representation before I speak to the investigator and stroke, or if I'm called to give evidence before the court. He signed 13th June 2025. Now here is the story. Listen very carefully. I am the above named police officer currently attached to Central Police Station. I perform general duty. I recall very well on 7th June 2025, I reported on duty at 0800 hours. I took over from PC Kimani, the cell sentry duty, while at my place of work, report officer placed Deputy OCS IP Nganga came and told me, Mukwana, umechoma, unaitwa kwa OCS. I asked him, afande, nimechoma nini? He hurried to follow him to OCS office. While I followed him, it was around 1930 hours. Reaching at OCS office, while inside the deputy OCS locked the door. The OCS was on his seat. He then called me, Mukwana. I responded, yes sir. He asked, umefanya hapa kazi muda gani hapa kwa ofisi? I told him, muda mrefu kama miaka 2 na. He then said, kuna directive kutoka kwa DIG Mr. Lagat. Unamjua? I replied, yes. He then said, kuna ofisa wa DCI headquarters wanaleta mtu kama saa 2 hivi, watakuwa wamefika. Nataka uende cell uangalie wale wamekaa rumande, waambie kuna kazi nataka wafanye, kuna mahabusu ameletwa, wamshughulikie kidogo. He then said, nikiwa Lang'ata kuna mahabusu, nikatafuta wakamshughulikia kidogo apate injuries na nikamtoa na haikuleta maneno. He then said, chukua hii 2,000, enda ongelesha mahabusu, kuna mtu analetwa, anataka wamshughulikie kidogo na ni amri kutoka kwa mkubwa. See that? I then asked him, na hiyo sijawahi ona hapa. Na ikiwa mabaya, he replied, hapana, huwezi kataa amri ya mkubwa. Kwani mimi mwenyewe nilikubali? Kwani mimi ni mjinga? Na ukikataa kuna kitu inaweza kufanyikia, na wewe ni junior officer. I replied, sawa sir. Then told him, mimi afande nataka kutoka kazi, PC Kimani anaingia. He said, Kimani hapana. Then the deputy interjected and said, hapana, Kimani atapelekwa gate. I told him, Kimani will be at the gate. He will suspect something fishy. It will raise eyebrows. Then the deputy agreed and said, sawa, wacha mkue na yeye. He then opened the door. We went downstairs. The deputy met PC Kimani and started informing him about the plan, while I proceeded to the cell to look for the remandees. I met Ngige. Huyu mtu Ngige mshike vizuri sana, who had stayed for a long time. I then told Ngige, here is 2,000. OCS has given out. Kuna mahabusu anakuja, anataka mshughulikie kidogo, yani discipline kidogo. I told them he should look after people who could do the job. And then he left and went to the cell. All remandees are kept in cell number 1 on the right side as they entered the cell. After a few minutes, he told me he had people for the job. He then handed me 2,000 and told me the money I should use to buy the alcohol, since they cannot do such work without being high. Walewe kwanza. I then left and went to the canteen and bought alcohol and brought it. I gave it to Gige and he went back to their cell. PC Kimani told us to make the instructions succeed. He should take over the duty of cell sentry duty. He then called the inmate to the waiting bay. He called out the inmates one by one as they were entering the back cell. He confirmed all the inmates were present. It was around 8:30 p.m. I then went to the changing room. I changed from the uniform to civilian clothes. The changing room is outside as you enter the gate. On the left side after changing, it was around 21:00 hours. I then proceeded to canteen and took beer. I did not stay for long. I remembered that I had forgotten my key in the changing room. I then went back to pick up my key. Before reaching the changing room, Subaru vehicle arrived and stopped at the entrance to the station block. To the station, black in color, sorry for that. I then suspected it could be the officer from DCI. I then called Deputy OCS IP Nganga and asked if I had seen a Subaru could be the one. He told me to call OCS and asked him. I suspect they were DCI officers. I saw a light and with a person in handcuffs as there at the stair to the station. There was a person who came out of the vehicle while on the phone. He was talking Kalenjin language. The person asked Mukwana ni nani? Confirmed. I was the one. Then handed a phone to me. The caller called my name. I hear the voice of OCS CI Talam telling me, ni huyo mtu. It was around 21:10 hours. I asked the same officer who was the suspect. He showed the person seated at the report office. They said, Pea Kimani aweke cell. I left to canteen as he was being booked while at the canteen. After about 10 minutes, I called Kimani and asked him if they had finished booking the suspect. He confirmed that he had placed him in the area where shoes are kept. I called the OCS CI Talam and asked him the extent of the beating that was needed. He told mtu apigwe apate majeraha apelekwe hospitali. The deputy OCS called me, asked where I was told, asked where I was. I told him canteen. He came to the canteen, peeped and saw me. He called shortly after I returned. PC Kimani opened the cell for I entered and found Gige already in the corner. He asked where is the maneno mengine hajaandikwa vizuri, by that ingine hajaandikwa. I pointed out where the suspect was, then entered the cell and came out with the following inmates. Sasa sikia wale wahuni walihusika kuua huyu jamaa, walitumiwa kuua huyu jamaa: Collins Iteria, Gil Amito, Brian Mwaniki, and Eric Ndambuki. They took the suspect to the last cell opposite the toilet. At that moment, I was with Kimani at the entry point of the cell. I could hear the screams from the last cell where Gige and his team had taken the suspect. I felt that the beating was too much. I rushed to stop them as PC Kimani followed me. I stopped them beating the person. Sorry, let me repeat this. I stopped the beating. The person was oozing blood from the mouth. He was leaning against the wall while seated down. I then told Kimani to inform IP Nganga to take the suspect to the hospital. It was around 2200 hours. I was not satisfied. I personally called IP Nganga, telling them to take the suspect to hospital. He asked whether the suspect is seriously injured. I told him take the patient to hospital and disconnected the phone. I left, boarded Uber motorcycle, went home in industrial area. Sasa ameenda nyumbani, kazi imekamilika. I slept up until around 11 a.m. the following day. I left my house heading to place where I could have a meal. I called Saddam, who was at the report office, and instructed him to take his phone to Ngige. I wanted to take it to him. I asked Ngige whether the suspect they dealt with had been returned from the hospital. He replied that he did not know. I then received a call from PC Lydia. She asked me, unajua ile kitu imefanyika huku? I replied, ni nini? Ati kuna mtu ameletwa na watu wa DCI usiku akapatikana akiwa unconscious. I asked, ni kweli? I want to have my meal then. Went back to sleep. I kept receiving calls from other colleagues wanting to know if I had heard what happened. After I called IP Nganga asking kumendaje, he told me pigia OCS. I took a few minutes and then called CI Talam. He received my call but said Baadaye, I did not call him again. I received several calls from colleagues. I did not go to work for the next 2 days. I could everything. I could everything on social media about the death of Ojwang. Hivyo ndio wameandika, by the way. My instinct started disturbing me after 2 days of the incident. I text OCS, hello, sir. He did not reply. I then text him, are we safe? He replied, not bad. After about 5 minutes, I called him. He received, he said, wacha kuongea hii maneno kwa hii simu. Wacha nikupigie kwa laini nyingine. At that moment, I deleted the text I had sent him. He called me using another line. He said, hii maneno usiongee kwa simu. He asked where I live. I told him industrial area. He said he would call me the next day and agree on where to meet. That evening, I received a call from OC Crime and there was someone to IPOA. I told OC Crime I had never written a statement about what I would say. Then next day, we were to meet. We were issued with someone. I came to the IPOA, recorded a statement. I did not disclose what happened. I thought we were to cover each other, but later I discovered my colleagues had heaped the blame on me. That was on 11th June 2025. Mambo ndio hayo. On 12th June 2025, I was disturbed by the incident. Something was telling me to return to IPOA and tell the whole truth. I looked for someone to accompany me to IPOA. When I reached IPOA, I was arrested and taken to Capitol Hill Police Station. I told Jibril wanted to record another statement with Nyakundi. He promised that he would return with Nyakundi, whom they came. I narrated the whole truth while at Capitol Hill Police Station. They promised that I would be taken to court after recording my statement today, 13th June 2025. I was taken to court on the malicious application where I'm remanded up to 20th June 2025. I have recorded my statement in the presence of advocate. This is the truth of what happened. Ojwang was not meant to be killed, but to be disciplined as per instructions of the OCS CI Talam, who was also under the instructions of DIG Mr. Langat. As per the instructions he gave me, I'm sorry for the death of Ojwang. May God help them to heal from the loss. Knowingly is painful. He has even mentioned DIG Elliot. Lagat. That's the story. And I don't want to add anything on this, but let us now meet on the comment section in reaction to what you've heard in this story. I will also share this story in the on the community button of this channel so that you can also go through the story for, again, better understanding. Thank you, and see you in our next